In terms of fulfilling expectations, it was, I mean, as close as a reasonable person can be to 10 out of 10. I mean, without any kind of glibness or sarcasm, it does feel like mind expanding.
In this video, you'll hear from one of the graduates of my program, John. I was so happy to have found John when I did because he really is the exact kind of person that I made this guitar program for. He's been passionate about the guitar his entire life, but he's always struggled to really understand the fundamentals of music and how that relates to the fretboard. And in just 2 months, we were able to answer all of those questions for him and really get him to a place where he is now, where he feels really comfortable and confident practicing on his own and playing all over the guitar. And John is also someone who loves to learn. He loves the idea of really getting underneath the surface and understanding the frameworks and the principles of why things work the way that they do. So I had so much fun working with John throughout the course of the program. So without further ado, here is my conversation with John. Has there been, or is there any theoretical concepts that you would have liked the curriculum to cover that we have not covered?
Um, no, I mean, it, yeah, my expectation was to get like a fairly solid understanding of the real like the basics of theory,
Yeah.
um, beyond the dumb rock and roll theory that I had, and I feel like we've exceeded that. Obviously, I'd like to keep going, but I don't. There's nothing. There's nothing that we've done that I felt like, oh gosh, I wish I knew how to do X or that kind of thing. And what we've done in a lot of ways has, I told you at different points while we were going through it that it was, like I felt like my ear was getting better because I was understanding the theory. To kind of go back to my roadway metaphor, it was like, okay, I was understanding the structures better. So as I was hearing things, it was like, oh, okay, that thing that was just like an assemblage of notes that made me feel a certain way. Like I was like, oh, that goes together like this. And, that I think it's interesting that when people talk about ear training, they talk about it in a way, or, my exposure to it, I've never, formally tried to do any kind of ear training, but it's kind of presented as like just your ear magically like can hear things that it couldn't hear before. And, you know, to me now, it's for me, because I don't have a naturally amazing ear, um, it the understanding the structure a little better goes a long way towards giving you the tools to decode the music and, understand it and, hopefully play it.
Yeah. Nice, man. Yeah, it makes sense that the ear would develop, especially having that knowledge of the structure so you kind of know what to look for. And then I
Right.
think that for me, we talked about this recently, but I try and make all my exercises as musical as possible. Like one thing that I really can't stand is when you play these guitar like technique exercises and then they just don't sound
Yeah.
like anything. And it's like
Right.
what a wasted opportunity to actually develop your ear to hear something.
Yeah, on some level, like I mean, I think my early development as a player was stunted by two things. One, I had an incredibly bad teacher when I was 8 years old, um, and like comically bad. Um, I told someone that he was. I told someone that he smelled like cigarettes and divorce, um, and that was like the vibe that he gave. And you know, so there was that, and then at the time, so I didn't play for a long time, and then when I kind of came back to it late in my teenage years and in my early 20s, it was like you you were sort of presented with this choice of like mashing out power chords, which
Mm.
was with fun and rewarding in a way, or getting Guitar Player magazine and looking at these exercises they had in it that would just be like, four finger exercises on each string where you went back and forth across the neck playing, half a step on each string. And, I was like, that doesn't sound like anything. It doesn't, I'm just, okay, I could make noise really fast and precisely.
Yeah.
So I kind of backed away from that. I didn't, examine anything related to that. And, here I am. My loss is your win.
So I'm curious to hear just a little bit about like what your expectation was going into the program and whether or not the program fulfilled those expectations for
Um, in terms of fulfilling expectations, it was, I mean, as close as a reasonable person can be to 10 out of 10.
you.
Um, you know, I think if we're talking about the program that you've devised, um, it would, like, I mean, I can reasonably plunk through the notes on the whole neck of the guitar, and you know, with only a minor degree of panic, and um, that was that was kind of my primary goal
Mm,
of being able to understand just the geography of the neck.
mm,
Um, and honestly, the understanding of the function of the notes on the neck and how they work together, that that was like a vague thing in my mind of like, oh, I guess it would be nice if I accomplished that. Um, and so that's actually an area where I think, where we are now has exceeded what I had hoped to be at.
mm,
Um, you know, from everything else, like whatever kind of, um, like I would have preferred for myself if I had been able to get to a level of confidence where, say, at the beginning of this session, I just sat down and did the 7 notes and was just like, bam, without any kind of like fluttering or anxiety about it. Having done different kinds of performance and business presentations and stuff, there was part of me that felt a little silly about my anxiety level. I was like, okay, I'm just trying to like meter out these like notes, and my tone doesn't have to be perfect. And even like right before we started, I was like, ah, shit, my guitar seems like it's flat at the first and second frets, and am I squeezing too hard? Am I, all those kinds of things were running through my head. And like, but to me that's all performance stuff. And you know um, getting to a point where, like, as I was working through the melodic exercise, um, and like I said last week, I was trying to kind of play it in unorthodox ways, um, just just because I'd kind of grabbed on to that understanding of the neck. And it was like, oh, okay, this is actually kind of exciting now. This is, um, you know it's a goofy trick, but being able to play like that melody just on the first E string, with a, obviously I flubbed a little bit, but it was like, if I practiced that for another day, it would be there. And having the ability to decode that on my own, is great. So, I mean, 10 out of 10 would recommend.
I get you, man. I get you. It kind of sounds like what you're describing is going from a place of you could look up the songs that you wanted to play and you could play songs that were more or less put together for you, but now you've almost transitioned into like being able to play the things that you want to play where you want to play them on the guitar. Is
I feel
that
like that's
kind
that's
of
the direction
accurate?
I'm headed in. I feel myself moving in that direction, like with a it, it feels real. Like that's, if I maintain consistency with it, that I'll have that. I don't have it yet, um, but it's right there, and I feel like I have the tools to grab it. So,
Yeah. How would you describe that transformation in your own words? Like, how did it feel to not be close to it? And then now, like, how would you describe where you're at feeling close to that thing?
um, I mean, without any kind of glibness or sarcasm, it does feel like mind expanding. Um, it's um, and this is actually like in a I think on the first session we joked around about the sort of self-helpy aspect of it.
Yeah.
But one intangible thing that I was aiming for, I was like, I articulated this to you, but there's a there's an experience that I've had a lot where I've, excuse me, where I've like taken it upon myself to learn how to do a thing, or and usually this is around physical things. Like I've bought trashed motorcycles and figured out how to make them work. And like when you're doing something like that, or when you're on the other end of something like that, like with my bikes when I rode motorcycles, there's a feeling like inside your brain that for me is like a, and I know this isn't succinct or marketable or anything that you can clip, but,
All
but
good.
it's like it's this combination of emotional, it's like an interlocking of emotional and intellectual responses.
Yeah.
So like with the bikes, it's like riding the bike that where I know every part of the bike and how it works, and I'm riding it, and it's an incredibly powerful feeling.
Yeah.
Um, and and I frankly think it's one that a lot of people deny themselves. Um, and it's you know, I mean, if I was sitting down with a cocktail, I'd espouse a whole screed about how the absence of that in people's lives is one of the reasons why so many people are like unhappy and rant and rave online and do other things because they don't have any kind of a sense of mastery.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and and so it's like so I was seeking that. I was like, okay, I've been mucking around with guitars for decades, um, in this kind of goofy, sloppy way, and to like focus on the instrument and figure it out finally was, kind of. I mean, I say mind expanding, but it's actually more inward than outward. Um, you know, so I don't know if I
I mean,
said.
that's huge, man. Like, that's just like, that's how I felt when I put this information together for myself. And this is the reason that I've wanted to like put this together for other people. So the
Yeah,
fact that that's really truly been your experience is I
yeah,
just couldn't be happier. That's amazing.
yeah. I agree. Thank you.
You're
I,
so
I
welcome.
really, I very much appreciate the that you put this together and that you kind of shepherded me through it. And you know, um, now I'm gonna, you know, join a bar band.
Amazing. I hope you do. You tell everybody what the scale degrees are.
Yeah, we'll be playing Louie Louie, and
Amazing.
yeah,
Fantastic. Okay, good. In terms of like feedback questions, I feel like I've asked almost all of them. Was there any um, was there any way that I could have like better set you up for success throughout the course, like given you a little more information or better perspective or better expectations on the front end? How was that for you?
um, I mean, not really. I mean, not without giving away the store. Um, there's a moment when you start anything where, you know, and this happens with projects at work and everything else where it's like you get started and you're like, oh shit, what did I get myself into? You know? Um, and I definitely had that, uh, you know, and it crystallized in a few moments, like in the first couple weeks when I was, I told you about this when I was doing the note exercises on the second string, and your voice said A, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
There's no A on the B string, like what? Um, and you know, there's got to be some struggle, So I don't feel like you flipped the script on me at any time, or that like there was like you know every time I came upon anything that made me feel a little like whoa, it was like, well, this is the gig. This is what I signed up for. There was never a moment where I felt like, what? Why are we talking about scale degrees? Or why? That didn't happen. So, I don't have any real good feedback in that regard for like things that you should change. Um, so, so
Fantastic. Is there anything else that I could have done to make this program or this service or this experience just, even better for you?
no, no, honestly, like, I mean, your demeanor, I know there are points in the instruction where, you have to be thinking, oh, John's fucking around. And you know, you do a great job of providing, kind of continual empathetic support that, makes me want to kind of keep doing it. Like beyond my personal goals, it's like, okay, this is a kind of caring environment that, still has standards, and, I want to honor that. So, you know,
Wow. That's great, man. I'm just so happy that you found this program, that I've been able to help you in these ways, and it gives me so much hope that there are lots of other people like you that I can help as well, and hopefully, we
yeah,
can
I
all
think
get
there are. I
together
mean,
one day and, grab drinks or something. That'd be fun. If you at all resonated with some of the stuff that John was saying, and you also have had a passion for the guitar for most of your life, and you just kind of struggle with understanding the fundamentals of music and how that's related to the fretboard, then please check out the main video posted onto my YouTube channel. If you're anything like John, I would love to help you. I love being able to help people that I made this program for, because if like if you're struggling with the guitar, it can be very frustrating knowing that all that information is out there, but just piecing it together and understanding it all can just, you know what I mean. I don't have to over explain myself. But check out that video pinned onto my YouTube channel, because it runs through all the details of my program. It'll answer all the questions you could have. And then if the program sounds like something that you're interested in, you could just DM me on Instagram. We could schedule a call, make sure it's a good fit for you, and we could start working together, which would be really fun. But thanks for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.